Now here's a fanciful thought. London, where the Queen is having a cuppa and perusing the Aussie list for her birthday honours. Industry, arts, politics, Australian rules football. She turns to a flunky. Who is this Basil Fuller? Now, while it may be even more fanciful that the Queen should ever see this segment of Halftime with the Footy, it does answer that question. Basil Fuller, OAM, the Subiaco Football Club, and a relationship that began way back in the 50s in the props room of what was then the Subi Maroons.
Well, it was a dog's body job, really. It's, assisting, giving the jumpers out to players, helping with the water bottles and things like that. I wasn't going to make it as a footballer, so I wanted to turn to something to still be involved in football. And that was the first opportunity I got to be a volunteer within that area of activity.
But you were always keen on football. I mean, you started off with, the Shenton Park...
Mets,
yeah, right? And you played there.
Yes.
But you say you weren't going to make it as a footballer?
No, I wasn't going to be good enough. And with the Shenton Park Mets, I was part of the establishment group who got them up and going, and I was their secretary at that stage, so I was a playing secretary.
The Mets were the springboard to Basil's beloved Subiaco, where he's certainly known and seems to know everyone.
The goals, yeah, it's good. Got the win.
Yeah,
We're going all right, boys.
Well, all we got to do in a fortnight's time.
What they did last week and how they're damaged.
Yeah, good, Baz. Me and my undies though, mate.
That's all right.
Basil never did play for Subi, as he says, never good enough. But it's salutary to think that when he was about the same age as these young guns, he was helping run the club.
That's it, mate.
So Basil, you're on this committee, you're the youngest on it, you're 22 and the average age is 61.
Yes.
How did they handle a youth?
Well, they thought it was an intrusion which they didn't need, and it was never known before. I got on in an election by going to members and approaching them and seeing if they'd put me on for a younger person on the board.
They didn't want you? They didn't listen to you?
No, not at all.
Did you have ideas at that stage?
Possibly.
Youthful ideas?
I probably had an L plate on my back. I was going to be a learner as far as their operations were concerned. But I was there because the members put me there, and so subsequently on we went.
A little bit of history around about that time. I think in 1961 there was a terrible accident involving Rod Newton and Merv Scray, and that really devastated the club, didn't it?
Well, it was probably my darkest day ever with the club, and that still remains that way. Yes, I was at the Oval, at CB Oval that day, and got a phone call. It was a game between WA and Tasmania, pouring with rain. And the message came through that they'd been in an accident and they were deceased. I had to go and tell their best mate, Reg Hampson, who was playing for WA against Tasmania that day, that this had happened, and what the situation was that he did play. He thought that they would want him to take the opportunity of playing for the state.
Sure.
But yeah, it was a bad day as far as the club was concerned, probably the worst day ever.
1965, 66, 67, not terribly good years. I mean, I read in your history they're called disastrous years for the club. How did you handle that?
Well, when you're in administration of a football club, you get your highs, you get your lows, you get your good days, bad days, all those sort of things combined.
Well, that was a bad 3 years.
Yeah, the games you should have won. But no, we ourselves in Swan Districts used to battle out the bottom position, and whoever won during the season was finished second last, not last. Well, it didn't help with things like looking for sponsors and these type of things, because in those days, that they look for success and they look for what's going on within the club. We were fortunate at that stage. We were fairly stable financially, and but that deteriorated after that as well, because you can't hold members, you can't hold sponsors when your team's not going well. Winning is the aim, and winning is what your people expect and look forward to.
Well, putting sponsors aside, you did get a coach eventually, Hayden Bunton. How did that come about?
Well, I recruited Bunt. He
did?
Yes.
Yeah.
He was coaching in South Australia,
yeah.
And we approached him, and when he'd finished at Norwood, and then he was able to come over, and join us as a coach.
And did he change the footballing ethos style here at Subi?
Oh, most definitely.
How?
Whatever he did, he expected the players to be able to do the same. Anything less, not to miss training, to become fitter and stronger, which they weren't used to at that stage. But he got the turnaround, and from then on in, we certainly made progress.
And that they did. 1973 was magic for the Subi Football Club. After 49 years, check that, nearly half a century, they won the flag. A very big day for Basil too.
Glory, glory to the Echo. Glory, glory to the Echo. Glory, glory.
Oh, I felt, to tell the truth, I felt stuffed afterwards. But that day was one of the longest days because it had some idiosyncrasies came into play as well.
Yeah.
Celebrations afterwards, the police got a call that there was a bomb planted over in our social premises. So the constabulary came over in numbers and cleared the place out.
There wasn't a bomb.
There wasn't a bomb, but they cleared the place out, checked it over, brought some dogs up and all this sort of thing. And from then on in, if you're trying to get people out from celebrating after 49 years in the doldrums, very difficult, but myself and Brian Singleton, who was president then, we got them out, and they all went out in the oval and waited for the all clear, all came back and carried on.
So who did you blame for the non-bomb?
No, West Perth.
Most often our stories are about players and coaches, understandably. But Basil Fuller's story is just as important. Without him, and people like him, would there be a club? So, you're still on the board.
Yes.
Right. And it seems to me that you give an enormous amount of your time to this club, the board aside.
Yes.
How much time in a week do you give to the club?
On a volunteer basis, I'm virtually full-time.
A full-time volunteer? What do you do?
I come in here at 8:30 in the morning, each morning, get the mail, get the papers and things like that, and then come in and do whatever has got to be done within my portfolios, or else assist in any areas which need any assistance from other divisions for anything specific. So
why do you do it?
I just enjoy doing it.
Is there nothing else in your life?
Well, there certainly is. There's family and everything else, but that's a compatible situation too. But no, you sort of come in, you put your hand up for being a volunteer. What it does is it keeps you mentally involved with people, and it keeps you health-wise involved with moving around, doing things, and being involved. That's where volunteers, if they're, I couldn't be sitting at home doing nothing. I don't play golf, I don't go fishing or anything like that, but it's one of those things which it's something I do and I do regularly.
What's the future for you? How long can you keep going?
How long can I keep going?
Yeah.
Well, I've told the board that I'll probably, hopefully, retire in '99, then so I can get a letter from the King or Queen, whoever's in power at that stage.
You're collecting things, are you, from Buckingham Palace?
Collecting, yeah.
Well, the OAM's from her.
Yeah, the OAM is from her via Canberra, yes. So what was... Well, that's not what you're here for, but notwithstanding that, it's always good to get recognition, not only for myself, but for other volunteers, that they realise that these things are around, but not necessarily for everybody, but be in it as a volunteer and you get something out of it.
So you'll stay here then, Basil, till you get another letter from the King or the Queen?
Yes. Well, that's my aim.
Best of luck to you then.
Health-wise, everything's standing by that. It'll be great.
Lovely to talk to you.
David,